and I went and got absolutely shit kicked by this guy. I walked myself to this dungeon basement gym. I worked out. I got on the track outside. I worked on the track. I came home. I ate. That was literally my life. That was summer for me. And when I left the game, I literally couldn't watch hockey for years. Like 2-3 years. They didn't want to sign me. I knew it was coming. Our team's struggling. Obviously, you hear the rumors. And that to me was super tough. Was super tough.
Welcome back, fight fans, to another episode of the Fight Plan Podcast, where today we have our first player that his role wasn't primarily a fighter. Okay, Dale Weise. But that doesn't mean he wasn't in fights. This guy got under people's skin. I know you've probably seen the Milan Lucic handshake line thing, okay? This guy could skate. He could play. And as you're going to see, we vibe because he's just a fan that made it to the NHL like I did. Namaste, fellow waves. In the ocean of love and consciousness, namaste, and welcome back to the Fight Plan Podcast, where I knew we were going to have a good conversation, okay? Dale Weise. Oh, the way he shows up on socials, what he talks about, how driven he is, how much energy he has. I knew exactly where to start this podcast off. One of those guys that was playing when I was playing, but we didn't cross paths, unfortunately. He probably would have got under my skin, and I would have ended up chasing him around. He probably would have fought me and done better than I would have liked. But a guy who really shows what we're doing, me and Ben, with our course, our training integration community, the next arena, living from the zone. He really is proof of that and how he transitioned out of the game. But we're going to go through his career. We'll talk about it. He is a passionate dude, and you just kind of gotta let him go and just get out of the way. I was enthralled. I didn't have my mind leave the moment at any point in time during recording this. The clips are going to be amazing. The Montreal fans are going to love hearing from him again and talking passionately about it and why he didn't get that contract extension there. So you don't really got to tape up the hands too much with this one. You just got to feel into your heart and be like, man, listen to this guy who just was, as he said, I remember I heard somebody say their parents were super fans. He was a super fan, and he just made it happen. So Dale Weise, everyone. Namaste, Dale fucking Weise, brother. How the hell are you? Thank you so much for joining us on the Fight Plan Podcast.
I'm excellent, man. Happy to be here. How are you?
Dude, I am wonderful. And doing my research, talking to you a bit back and forth, I got to be honest, it seems like I'm sitting down with another version of myself. I come across this story of you just going, you know, Carey Price is great and all, but like he never fucking got mad at us when we were playing like shit. You wanted to jack this fucking place up. I was the same way, brother. If it was a 5, I wanted it at 100. In Jersey, we're a shit team. They're playing like, you know, some house music in the locker room. It's boring. It's sleepy. I'm like, fuck this. I go through on AC/DC, crank it. Ben Lovejoy's like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, where did that come from for you? Why did you always want to fire it up?
I don't know, man. I think it's just my personality. I'm always high energy. I've always been that way. I've always been kind of a rah guy. I just, you know, you start in junior and you see the different personalities. You know, here's a quiet guy, and you know he's quiet, and this guy's, and you just need a total mix. And every good team I was ever on, you had a mix of those guys, and it wasn't like I was jumping into something that was uncomfortable for me. That's just always how I was. Like I loved being at the rink. I loved what I did. I felt extremely blessed to be playing in the NHL. So every day was like a dream, man. And then I didn't look at it like as a job, you know, later in my career, it obviously became that. But when it came to, you know, being excited and trying to get the boys going, that was it for me always.
Dude, is it that hard for guys to like realize that it's the National Hockey League? Bro, like I'm in Minnesota. I get brought in my first game. It's like you walk in the locker room. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Okay, cool. That was it. There was no excitement. I didn't get even a rookie lap. I come in after the game to the lounge. Mom's like, why didn't you get a rookie lap? I'm like, oh, it was like punch your ticket at Walmart and go to work. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
No, honestly, man, it's funny you say that on the handshake stuff, you know, hockey players and they don't know somebody and trying to be professional, whatever. When I first got traded to Montreal, I was sitting in the breakfast lounge. I was there early, obviously. I was one of the first guys there that day. And PK Subban comes in. Still to this day, is probably my favorite teammate that I played with. And he comes in and he dabs me up, and he guys at 150 like miles an hour, like loud and abrasive. And to me, like that's how it should be. Like that is a guy who and we can talk about that later, but gets so much hate, probably more so now for his outfits and stuff, but for just his like his attitude that he had. But man, like you're in the National Hockey League. If you would have told yourself at 7 years old this is where you were, you wouldn't have believed it. And that's like the mentality that I kept for my whole career, and just was so appreciative and grateful of it. And I think guys lose sight of it. They get there, and then it's like, well, what's next? What can you offer me? And I think it's getting worse. I noticed at the end of my career how guys were like entitled to be there, and I don't know if it was an upbringing. Obviously, I came from a blue collar background, so I was very appreciative of it. But who knows, man?
Fuck. I knew we were gonna vibe, dude. So let's go back to that blue collar background. Winnipeg, just it's kind of it's kind of like PK. He gets a lot of shit. Winnipeg gets a lot of shit, brother. Like, talk about growing up there. What it instilled in you. Where did your one of your parents have this energy? Did you have siblings? Like, take us through Dale Weise coming up, turning into that ball of energy.
Yeah, so I had an older brother who's 2 years older than me. And from as long as I can remember, like hockey was everything. My mom and dad, super fans, loved hockey from a young age. It was like, I can think back of like 3 years old, where we had this tiny little sandbox rink that might have been like 10 by 10. And I'd be trying to learn to skate out there, and then playing against my brother. And like, there's a super cool video I showed my kids, honestly, like a couple weeks ago. And my brother was putting the pads on. I might have been like 4 years old. My brother's putting the pads on, and his other buddies there, and we're playing. And I don't know what happened. Obviously, I can't remember at 4 years old. But I start fighting my brother. Like, I'm on top of his back, and I'm like hammer fisting. I'm like, bang, bang. And it's like my dad's filming it from inside. And just from that moment, like, like there was something about it. Like, I always had so much passion for hockey. Um, I was at the outdoor rink a ton, always trying to keep up with my brother and playing against older guys and bigger guys. And it was just my dad would take me to the rink, drop me off every day, pick me up. Like, just a very Canadian story that I'm sure a lot of guys tell. But, just always, my whole family was hockey crazy, from 7, 8 years old too. Me and my dad would go to junior games and watch a lot of the MJHL games, or go to the preseason, because there was 9 fights a period at that point. That would have been back, in the 90s. It was just always a hockey crazy family.
That's hilarious. I love how you call your parents super fans. I mean, my goodness, I was a super fan. If my parents were super fans, it would have been an even higher level. My parents were always like the summer kind of sports, the warm weather sports. So wow. And I was going to ask you that, like, at some point, of when did that kind of abrasiveness to your game come in? Because I think you're the first guy we've had that wasn't like a full true fighter, or that wasn't not your main role, but at this young age you're hammer fisting your brother. So clearly, going to those games with your dad, it instilled that culture in you that, hey, I may not be a fighter, but I can always mix it up with guys and even fight above a weight class to get the boys going.
It was always, that came from my dad and my brother. My brother was probably a little wilder in minor hockey than I was. And, I kind of went and watched games, and he's running around, and I enjoyed that part. Like, me and my dad would talk about it. Like, we liked going to watch the junior games, but the best part about it was the fights when you're a kid. It's the most exciting. And my dad always instilled that, like, you don't get pushed around, you don't back down. And that was like, even from a young age, I wasn't the type, if I'm 8 years old and I go bury a kid, coaches might get mad at me. But when I get in the car after, me and my dad are laughing about it. Like, it's like, you got to play that. Like, this is a hard game. It's a competitive game. You have to be competitive. So competitiveness for me was instilled at a young age, but it also didn't take very much push. Again, like mini sticks, street hockey, outdoor rink. It was always playing against my brother, playing against his buddies, playing against older guys. I had to, kind of play that way to keep up. And obviously back when we were growing up at that young age, you can say it too, is like, that was like, Don Cherry at Christmas was the greatest Christmas present I can get. And half the video was fighting and body checking. So that was just kind of instilled from a young age, and I embraced it, and I truly enjoyed it.
Absolutely, dude. And when you're valued like that as a son, as a brother, you're obviously on the sheet. You're so athletic as a young age. You're You're starting to be a good player. You're starting to build an identity. You're starting to be like, wow, I'm valued on this team. I get to just go out and just rip it every night. So as you're going through minor hockey, you're a heck of a hockey player. You're way over a point a game. You're scoring. Their last year at AAA, got like 114 pins with all your points. But then you take that step up to junior, and you've been watching it your whole life. And you start out with, what is this? The Winnipeg South Blues, 11 games, 2 points. You go to Swift Current after that. What was it first like to be like, whoa, like I'm not like the best player anymore?
Yeah, it was super cool. So I was an eighth round Bantam draft pick in the Western Hockey League, and from like that point, I grew probably 3-4 inches in the year and a half span. I got kind of tall and gangly and very uncoordinated, so I wasn't the best skater, but was a good player and aggressive, and I could do a lot of things. And then when I got drafted, probably at 15, I started working out a ton. I started to get that strength. To me, like the off ice fitness is kind of like what projected me. And then by like 15, 16, I got super good. Where being an eighth round Bantam draft pick means nothing, but quickly in about 8 to 12 months, I was probably pretty close to the guys that won in the first round, in my opinion. So you go to junior at 16. I was drafted by Medicine Hat. I actually made the team at 16, and I remember being there for a week. We were getting ready for opening night, and I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, I can't play here. I got to come home. Whether it was like homesick or kind of seeing the writing on the wall, they ended up winning the league that year. They had like 9 NHL draft picks up front. They pretty much told me I was going to play 30 games. I was like, okay, whatever. So then ended up coming back playing midget. Terrible mistake. Went back at 17, and I got cut at 17 at Medicine Hat. And Willie Desjardins, who's back there now still, he goes, yeah, I really question your commitment to the game. And that just like literally was a dagger in my heart, man, because I was the most committed guy at that point. It was all I thought about. It was all I did.
Wow.
I led our team in scoring in preseason, as a 17-year-old, which we had some really good players there. But so I come back to the Winnipeg South Blues. I'm there for like a month. Kenny Pearson was my coach and GM. He's a Manitoba junior legend, still coaches and GM, and so. Yeah, I get back, and again, I was pretty good on our MJ team. As a 17-year-old, I was one of our better players, but you got to earn your keep, right? That was like my first introduction to actually being part of junior. I'm sitting on the fourth line. You're playing 3-4 shifts a period, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like I'm, in all due respect, I'm probably one of the better guys on the team, but this is something I got to get used to. I was only there for a month. Swift Current trades for me, called me back up to the Western League, and then from there on, it was like, okay, now I got my first taste. I know it's going to be the same thing. I think I was scratched maybe 4 of the first 10 games. And then I was like, okay, I got to find a way to break in the lineup here. And obviously, what can I do to make myself valuable? If I'm not playing and I can't score, what else can I do? And that's kind of where the mindset happened. And it's like, okay, I'm coming in. Boom, let's go out. Anybody. I probably had 3-4 fights in the next 5-6 games. I remember fighting this one guy. His name was Theron Yo. I don't know if he went on to play pro. He was about 6'3", probably like 230 at that point. Just a big lefty. Obviously, at 17, I've had like 4 or 5 fights at this point. No idea. Not watching YouTube at this time. And I went and got absolutely shit kicked by this guy. And it was like first time I go to grab and boom. It was just like, oh. So just like leaking, crowds going nuts at Swift Current because, had no business fighting this guy. And that was kind of Dean Chenault was the coach and GM at the time. And next morning brought me in, was like, all right, kid, like you're finally starting to figure it out. Like if you gotta bring more if you're going to continue to stay in the lineup. He's like, once you start doing these things, then your skill will be able to show and you'll be able to, but you got to put your time in. And that was kind of like, as I was starting to learn where I was coming from.
And dude, I mean, I think this goes right to some of the last videos you posted on your Instagram talking about kids, you're exactly, or adults, you're exactly where you are in the choices you have made. You are exactly where you are. Okay. You're going to take a step up to the next level. Is it supposed to be easy?
Yeah.
Are you going to take a step up and fight a guy that you shouldn't? Is that going to be fun? But you do what you need to do because you cared. And that's pretty crazy for someone who cared so much. Willie Desjardins telling you don't care. That seems to be a theme throughout your career. And it was mine too, of just that emotion. That emotion was easily accessible for you.
Yep. Well, that to me, like to this day, I still vividly remember that conversation. I can remember everything in my mind. And I was again, just shocked because, like I said, since I was 5 years old, like I was destined to be a hockey player. That was it. Like it was the only thing I thought about. And for someone who didn't see all the stuff that you put in the background, like that it dug me. So that's kind of that, along the way with a lot of other things, is kind of what put the chip on my shoulder. And as my career continued to go on and you get those setbacks, the chip just gets bigger and bigger, the motivation gets higher, and that fuel just burns. And that's the biggest thing that I look for in kids that are younger that I can coach. Or like I say, man, you got to have that juice in your belly. You got to have that fire. If you don't have it, I don't care how good you are. I'm telling you, you're not going to make it.
Dude. And I saw you in an interview, had a Hockey Helps the Homeless shirt on. So I go to Hockey Homeless in Hamilton, and
Nice.
I'm like, see Darcy Tucker on the card. I'm like, no way, I get to meet my freaking like childhood legend, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember I kind of gave him his space. You don't want to be too much, and he goes, Gabe's, what's up? And I'm like, dude, no way. So by the end of the night, he's slamming beers. I'm just sitting down with him, and he just starts going off like you, of just like, man, these kids, they just don't get it, man. He's like, you gotta have the fire. If you don't have a chance, you
Yeah.
don't have a chance. He's like, when my dad told me back in the farm, hey kid, 6 a.m., go see that pile of rocks. Take that pile of rocks, move it to that side of the field. Okay, dad. Next day, hey, see that pile of rocks? Move it back to the other side of the field. And he's like, from that day, he just got it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is going to take work. So you might as well do something you like instead of moving rocks back and forth. Okay. You got to do your chores, whatever, but go make something yourself. Go have that fire. So what would you say to kids if they're in your training and they love the game, they love the skills on the YouTube highlights and everything, but they don't really have the urge to lift. They don't have the urge to do the deeper parts of the game, to work on their hands in the garage at night. Like, what would you say to that kid?
There's lots of that, and I see it a ton now. And I'm like enamored by watching some of them. I'm like, you are so talented. You're incredible. And you start asking some of the backgrounds, like, what are you doing after? What are you doing? It's like, nothing. I skate 5 times a week, and it just blows my mind because you're missing some of the other stuff. And I see it every day. Everybody's the same now. If you go watch, I watch a lot of hockey, like U15 AAA in Winnipeg. You look at the top guys. Yeah, they're all the same, but the whole team is the same. There's no there's no different qualities now, and the way you separate yourself is still the age old tale of like, if you can't score, what else can you bring? Because you're not all going to be superstars, and like kind of what we're saying. You get to junior, okay, you might be good at junior, and then you got to work your way up. But then, okay, now you're in the American Hockey League. Then it's a whole nother ball game, and then you get to the NHL, and the jump is astronomical. So a lot of the kids, I try to instill like rounding everything, like the time put in the gym. That's something I really stress. Is like I became super good, and I stayed in the NHL as long as I did because I outworked everyone because I could control that. That's simple. That's like, you have no one else that you can blame for that. You can blame the coach and say you didn't get the opportunity, you didn't get to play with this guy. That's fine, and in some cases it's valid. But if you come in and you're not the most and best in shape guy, and you're not crushing every fitness test, that is zero excuse. And that's something I push with a lot of the young kids is a lot of the other stuff.
Amen, brother. Amen. And it's like, you know, don't, I think a lot of kids too, they think they get around a group of buddies, they're all athletic, and it's like, or girls, and it's like, hey, I got to kind of play hockey. Like, yeah, I like hockey, but if it doesn't light you up, if you're not just like flying out of bed in the morning to go lift, to stick handle, like, seriously, go do something else.
Yeah.
Please, like, go do something that excites you, right? Like, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to go to that highest excitement. So you bust through your second season, a huge jump. I mean, a huge jump, 43 points, almost 100 PIMs. What was that like to kind of be like, okay, like this train is rolling now. Like I'm back on track.
Yeah, it was cool. So I got pushed up the lineup again. Like it took me about 20 games to get pushed up the lineup. Our team wasn't great that year, and then the last 20 games, I probably finished on I was probably on our top line, and so just the confidence and knowing that you can do it was a huge step. And that mindset shift of, I put up a couple points at the end of the first year, but then again, I went home in the summer and that was it. Like, I'm a hockey player. This is what I do. I wasn't going to the beach with buddies. I wasn't partying. It was like, I woke up, I walked myself, I think it was like a 15-minute walk. I walked myself to this dungeon basement gym. I worked out. I got on the track outside. I worked on the track. I came home. I ate. That was literally my life. That was summer for me, where I was texting some other guys on my team and other guys I knew around the league, and they're with hanging out with girls and going to the beach and partying. And it was like, I didn't care about that. I was like, I'm going to be a hockey player. And then when I came back at 18, um, you know, I was pretty good at that point, and things just started to roll. Our team was pretty good. I had another guy, Zach Smith, who had a great career, and we had very, very similar career, trajectories. We came in at 17 together. I think we were in like 6 line brawls that year together on the same line at 17. 18 again, we were probably our top line in Swift Current. So he was a kind of a good motivator for me too. We kind of pushed each other. But yeah, I think things started to roll. You got more opportunities, and then I think at that point, it started to set in. Like, okay, like I'm starting to make things happen here, and this could be a career.
Right. And you said that you grew so fast and you kind of got little gangly with your skating, but that's really what separated I could never have the right posture. I just couldn't figure out skating. You always had this great upwards posture. You kept your feet under. You were just a wicked skater. That kind of became your hallmark, right? Because you could get emotionally engaged and you could just get to spots and frustrate people and get all over them with that emotion. I wish I had that skating like you, because you can see how you and Zach Smith, he's tough too. You just wear guys down. You're laughing at them. You just keep coming at them. That's how those line brawls start. I'm sure you're always able to get under people's skin. So the scouts must be just looking like two hungry dudes. And you both get drafted as older guys like I did, 19 turned 20. That must have been fucking awesome.
It was super cool. When we came back at 19, we both had really good years at 18. Nobody wanted us at 18. That just added another chip on our shoulder. We came back at 19, and every night, you get in junior, you just had the single page stat pack, and we would sit there and we're having our coffee or a Red Bull before the game, and we're talking to each other. This is at 19, and we're talking to each other, and we're literally looking across, and we're like, hey, this guy's drafted. Like, we're fucking going at him tonight. Like, we're gonna make it. It's gonna be a tough night for him, and it was like. We were not easy to play against. I remember we played Kelowna one night, and Jamie Benn, it would have been 18 at that time, came out of the BCJ at 17 and played in the Western League at 18. And we're like, oh, this guy's projected to be a high pick, and we're like, we're going at him today, and we were fucking all over him. I think he was leading the league at that point. It was like a month and a half in the season, and he was on a massive point streak. It was him and this other 2 guys, and we fucking went at him all night. And we had a couple scrums, and we were both in there, like just little chihuahuas going at him, man. And he had a rough night. Like, he had no points, barely created anything. Obviously went on to dominate, and he's still a wonderful player. But I just remember a time like that was super funny because, talk about me and Smitty. But it was just every night. Every night we were pushing each other. And then early in the 19-year-old year, which was pretty cool because we were best friends off the ice too. NHL teams start calling you, the questionnaires start coming, and it was just pretty cool for 2 guys that came from nowhere 2 years ago and really kind of worked their way up.
Oh, that's unreal, dude. Unreal. And it's 8th round pick. Did you guys go to the draft at all? Stayed home? How did you celebrate? What was that day like?
For the NHL?
Yeah.
No. We I kind of figured we were going to be. I figured somewhere in the mid rounds, it's kind of it was in 08. Kind of like it is now, but they didn't have it as like rounds 2 to 7 was not as accurate. Like, it was more the panel talking. They didn't show you. They didn't show you every single pick. Right. So it kind of sounded like my name, but you're like, you could barely hear these guys are talking. And then all of a sudden my phone rings, and Gordy Clark from the New York Rangers calls. He's like, hey, Dale, Gordy Clark from the New York Rangers. We just drafted you. And then that was a cool moment. It's just me, my mom, and my dad sitting on the couch watching the NHL Network, and finally seeing obviously a dream for the whole family come true. So it was a special moment.
Winnipeg to the Big Apple. Holy crap. So you're going in. How fucking hard did you train before that summer? Because you didn't have to go play pro. You didn't have to. You could have gone back.
So this was kind of a cool story too. So you get drafted on the Saturday. The next day you're on a plane going to the development camp. And I went in there, and instantly, I went in the 4th round. We had 2 second-round picks. Derek Stepan was one of them, obviously a great player. And then another guy, and then a 3rd-round pick. And I go in instantly, and I'm like, outside of Derek Stepan, I was like, I'm 100 times better than these guys. But in all due respect, they were 17 at that. I was 2 years older, so I should have been. So I have an unbelievable development camp. Um, Tom Rennie brings me in at the end of development camp. He's like, man, like I'm super pumped about you. Like this is I think I commended our scouting staff. Like this is a great pick. I'm really looking forward to see you develop. So I'm hyped, man. I'm like, a year ago, moving furniture with my grandpa. My dad's putting me to work, and then a year later, I'm in New York and talking with Tom Rennie. So just kind of again, for a guy that's a super fan, like it just meant more. It meant more to me. So I finish there. I go home and I'm going off, man. Like I'm training my absolute ass off. Calling my agent every day. I was like, how will they not offer me a contract? Zach got offered a contract right away, and and so I'm like, he's my best friend, and we're pushing each other, and I'm like, well, why am I not signing? They're like, well, we only got the 50 contract list, and this is what it is. And I was like, okay, that's just making me go harder. So middle of August, I move all my stuff to Swift Current. I bring my car. I bring all my clothes. I moved in with my billet. I'm like, well, I guess I'm playing junior for another year, which is fine. I love Swift Current, but at that point, I was like, man, I want to play in the NHL. I want to play pro. So again, I had a tremendous summer. I go into the rookie tournament. 3 games. I had 3 goals, 4 assists, 3 fights, and 2 KOs. Like the best KOs of my career. Like I'm junior. Like I mean, maybe fight. I don't know even who the guys I fought, to be honest with you. Maybe they were college guys I never fought before, but just make a huge impact in 3 days. And then in 3 days, they call my agent, okay, we got to sign this kid. Like he's ready to play pro. And I go to the main camp, and at this point, it's kind of like a whirlwind. Like I'm sitting there beside Marcus Naslund and Chris Jury. Like again, as a super fan, it was like you at that point you don't feel like you belong. Like it's like a surreal feeling. You're like, holy smokes, and you're looking around like, it's just training camp, but you feel like you made it. I have an unbelievable training camp. The first two scrimmages, it was like 1-0 and 1-0. I had both goals first 2 days. We go into exhibition games. I play all 9 games. I feel like I made the team. Everybody's cut. You have that last exhibition game. Season starting on Thursday. They don't cut me on Sunday. Cut everyone else. I'm like, this is wild. Like I made the NHL, but they didn't tell me. But they didn't tell me anything on the Sunday. So you get the day off Monday. Come back Tuesday. We're preparing for opening night Thursday, and I walk in, and my gear's not in the room, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I literally thought I made the NHL. And I asked the trainer, and I'm like, hey, where's my gear? He's like, oh, you didn't talk to Tom? I was like, no, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, I'll go see Tom. And I'm like, fuck off. So then I go in, and he's all excited, and like, I'm like, well, maybe I am staying. And he's like, hey, like, you had such a good training camp. It's unbelievable. I'd love to keep you. But, we got 15 forwards right now. We're going to send you down. And I'm like, I'm shattered at this point. I literally thought I made the NHL. I was like, I got to ask, like, why didn't you cut me on Sunday? And he's like, well, I just thought you had a great training camp. I thought you should have a night with the boys and then just enjoy it. And I was like, yeah, I respected it. I was pissed, but I respected it. And then I got sent down from there.
Damn, dude, that's fascinating. That is fascinating. All 9 preseason games. You must have just been like, obviously, you're in great shape. That is a lot of games to be stepping up to that level, but you were just a super fan, wired up, ready to go.
Playing at MSG, first game against Ottawa, and I'm running around like I'm running Chris Neal, I'm running Matt Carkner, and I'm like, no thanks, I'm not fighting Matt Carkner, but he's in front of our bench, and I absolutely like fold him over almost over the top, and Colton Orr jumps in right away. He's on the bench, and he's like, don't even think about it, Matty. Don't even think about it. He's like, if you want someone, you have me. And so I knew Colton Orr since I was a young kid. His dad and my dad are really good buddies. So I've known him since I was 9. So obviously cool to be there with him. And my first 2 exhibition games, he's on my line, and he's like, do whatever you want, kid. You do whatever you do whatever you want. And I was like, this is, again, like as a super fan growing up, I saw his career. I was running around like crazy, which they loved it.
Fuck yeah, dude! And you KO'd a couple of people. Now you got Orzi to look after you. Oh my god, that's so cool. You knew him from such a young age. That's who you're the one place you go to training camp with. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Holy frick, dude. Okay,
Super.
so you're fired the fuck up. Obviously, you go to this camp and everything's just and the Rangers, everything is just so top notch. It feels like you're in a different dimension with how well they treat you and everything. So now you're going down to Hartford though. So what was that like? What was the excitement level? Was it still there when you got there?
I think so, yeah. I think I was just still on a high, right? Because I thought I was going back to junior. Here I am playing pro like I wanted. So to me, I was never a guy that when I got what I wanted, that I felt ungrateful about it. Like it always sunk in for me. So I'm super pumped. I'm playing pro. I feel like the man. I go down to Hartford, and you go from playing uh, at that time NHL exhibition games down to Hartford, and I'm dominating in training camp. Like I feel great. Excuse me. And so I'm, you're one cool story about Hartford. You go into the hotel. You're in the hotel for about 4 or 5 days. They hand you the letter. They're like, "Hey, you got to find a place in 5 days." You know, simple guy from Winnipeg. I was living in Swift Current the last 3 years. I was like, okay, like I have no money. Like I have my per diem. What am I like? I didn't get my signing bonus yet. How am I supposed to get an apartment? And like, the realism of like being a pro now that nobody gives a shit. Nobody's helping you with anything. Really sank in. And so I like called my dad. I'm like, Dad, how am I supposed to get an apartment? Like I don't even have a credit card. I have no money. And he's like, well, he's like, just use my credit card and do what you need to do. I was like, okay. So I had like a tally of like what I owed my dad. I had first month's rent or whatever I got in there, and like, flew my girlfriend down. I owed my dad for that later, and just so ridiculous. But then, then we got into training camp and kind of went from there.
And you guys had a tough team. Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. Like the 2.5 years, almost 3 years that I was there was ridiculous. Like I've never played on a team like that where there was like 9 guys that could like that were legit at that point. It was insane.
Like Sugden, freaking Nightingale, who I had as a coach, awesome guy. Like
Oh,
this is
amazing,
crazy.
amazing.
Sorial, this is crazy.
Yeah, Soria was man. He was super tough. So he was my roommate. I lived with him. He was literally my best friend. And it was cool to see us kind of we were both going through the same thing, but he was fighting everybody and doing incredibly well. Like
Yeah, dude.
there was a ton like guys that were like middle, like even I probably had 9 fights my first year, maybe Brody Dupont, Dane Byers, Devin Didiomidi, him and Sorial probably had 30 a year. Uh, Nightingale, Sugden, we had Brent Henley, who was like a fridge on wheels. Like there was so many guys. It was ridiculous.
And so many future NHLers and Anisimov, Parento, like holy shit. Sean Avery's playing a couple games, Tom Pyatt, Patrick Rissmiller. So it just keeps going and going.
Yeah, yeah. It was super cool. Wade Redden was there my third year. Was making 6.5 million, which to me was like at that point was the craziest thing alive.
I remember that. I remember us being like, this guy's in Hartford with the boys. He must be picking up everything.
He was outstanding. Like every single game was $1,000 for game winner, $1,000 for game winning assist, $1,000 for most hits, $1,000 for fighting. Like every game, it was insane. And at that point, like you're a young kid, you're doing super well. You're making $2,500 every 2 weeks, and this guy's handing out iPads and stuff. Like he was just the greatest guy. It was super cool.
Dude, what a fucking intro to pro hockey, man. I played in Iowa and we lost the first 9 out of 10 games. It was a fucking shit show. This is
Yikes.
incredible, dude. So you play unbelievable. You fit right in with like a glove to it. Like on a good team, you're immediately an impact player, dude. Like you're 23 points plus 8. Next year, 50 points, 28 goals plus 8. You're humming and then you go to your first NHL game. First, take us through that, man.
Yeah, that was wild. So that second year, I got called up with 2 weeks left, and I was the last call up. So I knew they couldn't send me down. So I was like, oh man, just every single day
Yep.
is I'm making more than I made in 2 weeks down there again. And you're like, it was super cool on that standpoint. Like, let's be honest, I was super pumped. I was gonna have some summer money, and but I'm warming up every day, and there's like so many game time decisions. It's the end of the season. It's a grind. The Rangers are trying to get in the playoffs, so I'm warming up every day. Come off. Yeah, no, he's fine. Fuck. Go on the next game. Good. No, I'm not. No, yeah, I'll be good. It's like fuck.
Ah, blue
It's
ball.
so I went like I think it was 4 or 5 games where I warmed up and I didn't get to play, and then it came down to that last game, Rangers Philly. winner gets in the playoffs, comes down to the shootout. And then we lost to Philly in Philly. So the Rangers didn't make the playoffs. So I never got a chance to play. Then I went back again, got cut that year, sent back, got off to a really good start that third year. And then I got called up. After practice, coach calls you in and he's like, hey, Rangers need a body. You're going up tomorrow. I flew from Hartford to Philly, and it was cool because of a 1 o'clock Saturday start. So I got in late Friday, went to bed, wake up, breakfast, and then right to the rink. And,
Just no thinking. Let's go.
which was awesome. And then, immediately my first game, we're playing Philly, Dan Carcillo.
Yeah.
Obviously, as I'm watching the last couple of years in the minors, he's leading the league in PIMS. He's fighting everybody. I was like, all right, I'm making a statement here. Like, I'm going. And I'm looking at the lineup and stuff, and Sean Avery comes up to me in the dressing room, and he's like, what are you thinking, kid? And I was like, well, it's like, I'm going Carcillo. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm going him. And I'm just like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't really give a fuck what you say. Like, I don't care. I'm making a statement here, bud. So I'm calling him out in warm up, and he's looking at me, and he's like, who the fuck are you? I was like, it's my first game, man. I was like, you got to give me a shot here. Give me one. Give me one. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. And then Avery's kind of chirping at me after too, like, you're not going him. You're not going him. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so I'm running around all game. I scored, had a goal disallowed. Shouldn't have been. Like, to this day, I'm telling you, I didn't kick it. I never even saw it coming. Went off my foot and in. Disallowed. I had the Gatorade thing happen. Have you ever seen that one on YouTube?
Yep.
That one's ridiculous. It's kind of funny now. I hit the post on one and it like trickled along the goal line. And then finally we're losing 4-1. And I beeline for a guy and I go right at him, almost flip him over the boards. And then finally Carcillo comes and fights me, I was waiting all night for him to give me a chance.
Yeah, you did a hell of a job. Like, he's a really tough dude. He fights guys bigger than him all the time. Where did you get your practice in? Like, obviously, that first guy way back, you got beat up. But was that just practicing with your brother? You kind of just watching so much? Did you ever have to work at it? Or was just, grab on, string them out, use a jab, throw some rights, stick in there? Was there any preparation?
To be honest with you, I never really worked on it probably until maybe like my second year in the NHL in Vancouver was then, I started to do some MMA stuff in the off season. But to me, man, like I never wanted to do that. Like I was part of the game. Like I'll emotionally, like, we go through it or you run my teammate, I'm coming for you. But it was never something that I really wanted to. And that's where it kind of got away from me in Vancouver. I never wanted to do that. Like I was like, I can do more, guys. Like, give me a chance to do more. And I didn't want to get pigeonholed, which was like, it was like a pull. My whole first 2 years in Vancouver was like, I don't want to keep doing this because then I'm going to get pigeonholed and I'm never going to get another chance. And that's all Vancouver looked at me for the first couple of years, and it drove me nuts. So then there was like, well, if that's all I can do again, I got to make the adjustment and I got to start practicing and started to do it. But it was like, it was never something I wanted to.
Well, it makes sense who was coaching the damn team, which, like, it just is what it is. That's what he's going to ask you to do, and it's John Tortorella, right, everybody? So you get waived by the Rangers. How did that come about to get there?
Well, that was John Tortorella. So we're in Europe. We went on the like European thing, and I got cut by Torts. And earlier, was it the year before? I think it was the year before. He cut me before my third year pro there, and I was like, man. And I called Torts out too. I was like, I should be on your team. I was like, I'm better than this guy. I'm better than this guy. I'm better than this guy. As I was getting cut, crazy thing to do, but I was like, man, I'm invested. I was like, I'm better than all these guys. And he loved it, but he's like, well, he goes, well, you didn't fight. And I was like, okay, I had 30 goals last year in the minors as a 21-year-old, as the top scoring guy, 25 and under. I had the most goals. I also had, 130 PIMs. I fought 8-9 times. I was like, I also had 3 goals in 5 exhibition games here. Like, I could play. I didn't think I needed to fight to make this team. Like, I'm showing you I can play. I contributed. They said, well, maybe you should have fought. So I got cut. There was 2 exhibition games left. I don't know what happened. Someone got hurt over the next 2 days. So they called me back in Ottawa. And obviously I was like, well, you want to see me fight, Torts? We're going to fight. So we play Ottawa. They got their whole lineup in, Karkner, Neal. You can go watch the YouTube video. You can clip it. It's super funny. And so I don't know. I ran someone in front of the bench. A little bit of scrum starts. Foligno comes in. we're going. My jersey's over my head. I'm like, I try to get it over initially, and I can't get it over, and I'm like, forget it. And we're just chucking, man. It was so funny. And then it was like 2 minutes left in the first period. I come off. Torts comes in after, like, just so fired up. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. And I was like, if you wanted me to fight, you should have just said
You
so.
should have said something.
Yeah. So then we were flying back from Ottawa to New York that night. He comes back on the plane after, and like had an empty seat beside me. He sits beside me. He's like, we're going to send you down again, but that was awesome. That was awesome. I'm going to get you back up here pretty quickly. And he did, like, a couple months later, but that's kind of like where it started with me and Torts. And then he cuts me the fourth training camp there. I know, in his defense, he was like, I don't think you're going to make it through waivers. In all honesty, at that point, I was crushed. I was like, there's no way I'm getting picked up on waivers in training camp. Like, everyone's got their team set. So you fly back from Europe the next day, long flight. I land in New York. I drive to Connecticut. I don't know why it took so long to get on waivers. Maybe it was a weekend, whatever it was. I don't remember. Drive to Connecticut. I get in the hotel. I'm partying with the boys for 2 days. Go out for practice. Have one practice. Coach calls me in after, and he's like, hey, Vancouver picked you up on waivers. You're going to Vancouver tomorrow. So at that point, it was super cool. I knew, like, okay, like, finally I got my foot in the door. Yes. Like, not just a call up. Like, this team's claiming me. They got to keep me for at least 30 days. I'm not gonna let them get rid of me. And it was like, that was cool. I remember calling my dad. I was like, Vancouver just picked me up on waivers. Like my foot's in the door now.
Like, let's go. So yeah. How was that first season? Like, first time you realize you're like, hey, like, I'm a full-time NHLer. Like, I actually did it now.
Yeah, it was super cool. So, they went to the Stanley Cup final the year before. Obviously, I knew what they were looking for. They let me know what they were looking for. But again, it was kind of a tug because I wanted to show them I can do more, because I was like, I don't want to just play 4 minutes a night and fight. But I knew they needed some toughness. I came in there. Outside of me, we had Bieksa, but he was too good of a player to be fighting. Outside of him, that was it. In all honesty, we didn't have anybody else. Like, zero. I mean, you saw it the year before against Boston in the finals. They got ragdolled by everybody. Like, there was, like,
it's crazy. They thought bringing you in and fucking Max Lapierre's running around. Like, come on, like, that's crazy that they didn't add anything else.
No, and that's like, they had guys that were hard. Like, Kessler played hard. The Sedins they play hard. Like, they take a beating. Burroughs is, like, plays hard. He's kind of a rat, but, like, there was no, outside of Bieksa, there wasn't much, and it was way too tall of an ask for me. And again, I didn't want to. I was like trying to do both. So first year was tough. Our team was super good, in and out of the lineup a couple times. What frustrated me is they had one guy that they had there. I can't remember his name, but he was a long time guy in the minors. I think he was in the minors for 7 years. Wasn't a great player in the minors. And you were like, he's injured, and like he came back and like was healthy scratching me for this guy that I would have absolutely walked circles around. I would have beat him up. Like, just not a good comparison. I'm getting scratched for this guy. That was tough. Then they had this other guy that was injured, another like guy that was in the minors for a long time, and he got healthy, and then they were scratching me for him, and it was mentally super hard. When you're thinking, like, guys, like, I'm 10 times the player these guys are. And, all due respect, both those guys never played past that year. That was all they got. I obviously went on a little further. Like, as you can tell, I'm a little bitter about that still. But so
hey, you're confident. You're confident in yourself, man. There's a clear theme here. Like, not only are you emotional, but you fucking believe in yourself, man.
Yeah, huge. And so deadline, they trade for Zach Kassian, a 9th overall pick. He's 20 years old. They bring him in. Obviously had some other issues and stuff going on, but again, I get healthy scratch for him. I was healthy scratch for him in the playoffs a little bit. So it was a tough first year. You're like, here you are, finally made it. You're living your dreams. You're making ridiculous money at 23 years old, making more money than my parents have ever made in their life. Like, so it's like off ice, it's super cool. That side, all the external stuff. But the only thing that truly matters is I want to be playing, and you're not playing. So it was tough, man. It was super hard.
Well, hey, you went to the right place to go play after that, didn't you? The Dutch Gretzky is born, dude. That I am like that you got that experience. I'm jealous. Like obviously my career ended with wrist injuries. I thought I was going to play till 40 overseas in some lower league and just go back to playing like I did in junior and just have
Yeah.
fun. Like, how fucking fun was this?
It was amazing. So, we have those two extremely tough years. Sorry, one year where mentally I'm broken. I have zero confidence.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, it's like, well, now I'm just going to be a fighter. That's all I'm going to be. Like, I guess I'll start just I'll put on 20 pounds and I'll start fighting everybody. Like, if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. And so the lockout happens, and I just my now wife, we were dating for a little bit, and I'm at home. I just bought this lake house. I'm training on the lake. I'm like, this is kind of awesome. Like, I got my one-way contract. I'm not going to the American League. It's kind of cool. Like, I'd love to be playing, but the extended summer, I'm not too upset about mentally. And then it gets to like middle of October. I'm living at the lake with my girlfriend, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm also 23. Like, I got to play some hockey here. Like, I can't stay at the lake like a 35-year-old for the year and just take it off. So I asked her, I was like, hey, well, I called my agent. I was like, hey, just send me anywhere. I want to be playing by next week. I don't care where it is. Doesn't matter what league, send me anywhere. He literally called me back like in an hour. He's like, you want to go to Holland? I was like, to play hockey? Like, really? And he's like, yeah, yeah. He's like, there's this another American League guy was there, and he flaked out. He's like, maybe they want you to go. I was like, okay, done. Let's do it. I asked my now wife, my girlfriend at the time. I said, do you want to come with me? And she was game. She was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we went there, man. It was so fun. We had the time of our life. The people treated us great. I there was there was two super good teams in the league, and then other than that, it was no disrespect, but it was pretty low. Like, I could have a 7-8 point night some nights, and but that's what I needed, man. I honestly needed that just to get my mindset right, to get the confidence back and feeling it. It was a huge step for me.
Dude, that's incredible. That's incredible. So it's funny how you're called the Dutch Gretzky. I know they started calling you Montreal, but you stay in Vancouver a little bit. You kind of get your footing a little bit. 44 games, 12 points after that next year. Like, you're okay. Like, I'm a solidified. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a player. And then how do you end up in Montreal?
Yeah, so John Tortorella comes over. Lane Vigneault gets fired. We struggle again in the playoffs. Torts comes in, and at that point, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm a bona fide NHLer at this point. You're not cutting me. I got a one-way contract. I know what you're about. I know what your training camps are about. So I continue to get in good shape. I'm hoping things are going to be different, and they're not. They're much of the same. Like, and doesn't go great. I mean, I wasn't getting scratched, but it was like I was playing on a line with Tom Sestito, like, no disrespect, like, Tommy's got great hands. You watch him in practice, you're like, man, this guy can play. But accepted his role. Me and him are barely playing. He just thought of us as a bunch of meats, and then very quickly, run out of flavor and get traded to Montreal.
Dude, was it at the deadline?
It was about 2 weeks before. We were in Detroit. It was like an optional morning skate. I'm out there ripping around. Torts comes out, calls me over, and I thought it would be about, whether you're playing tonight or you're not playing. Calls me over. He's like, hey, you got traded. I don't know where. Get yourself back to the hotel, and good luck. And that was it. It was like, come on, man. Like, that's the best you can do. Like, my thoughts are running through my head. I'm like, okay, like, where did I get traded? Like, didn't even tell me who I got traded to. Like, just
He's weird, man. He's weird. He's supposed to be this like passionate guy, but he's like very moody, eh? Like,
oh, very, very, very. I saw so many different sides of that guy throughout all of the years and stuff. So, yeah, it was weird. It was weird. But at that point, I was super excited because a couple weeks before that, I was having conversations with my wife, my young son, and I honestly thought, like, this is it. Like, I'm barely playing. I'm going to be out of the league. Like, I even asked her. I remember having this conversation one day. We're like, are you okay with going to Russia? Like, at that point, a couple of Winnipeg guys, Dustin Boyd and Nigel Dawes, were in Russia, killing it, making a killing, and they loved it. Their families loved it. So I was like, would you be okay if we're going to Russia? And she was like, whatever you want to go, I'm in.
Holland was fun. Let's go to Russia.
I'm in. Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of my mindset. Then I got traded to Montreal, and obviously, as soon as I got there, Marc Bergevin, Michel Therrien were like, I think you can do more. Like, I think you're a better player than you've shown. You're going to get every opportunity to show what you can do here. And it was like such a mindset switch to hear that.
Mm.
Because for 3 years in Vancouver, I heard nothing. I heard Mike Gillis at a year-end meeting telling me I should be taking MMA lessons. I'm sitting there like, I'm 2 years removed from scoring 30 goals in the American Hockey League. I outscored all your first round, like all your prospects. And you're talking to me about like taking MMA. Like, where am I right now? So just a great mindset shift and a team that believes in you right away. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Oh man, you were just, and I'm like, I was always just dying for someone. I got so much passion. Somebody see how bad I want to play, how bad I want to make it. And you go to the best fucking place to play hockey in this universe that we know of. Like,
Yep.
dude, holy fuck. 4 points, you get your belt under yourself, you gotta settle in, but then you get in those playoffs, man. And the emotions, like, let's go, brother. Take that. All my hair standing up, dude.
Man, I get chills thinking about it too, to be honest with you.
Fuck, dude.
It was super cool. So as soon as I went there, I played well. I had good guys to play with. It was a good team. It was just such a different vibe. It was like, I don't know, like when I went to Vancouver, I didn't have that sense of like, man, I can play. Like, let's just play. It was I got there, I know what they want from me, and it was
Yeah.
like a pull on my heartstrings. But I got to Montreal, there was no talk about fighting. It's like let's play, let's play. Go play your game. Fighting happens. I had a couple fights when I was there, but I was playing and played well, and we got into the playoffs. I'm in game one, opening night. And man, our team comes out of the gate flying. Our line, me, Danny Briere, and Michael Bourneville at the time, we're on a line, and we're playing great the first game. Third period, it was 4 minutes left, and Danny Briere's like, "Oh, we're gonna get the winner here." And I'm like, "Come on, Danny! Like, I don't even think we're gonna get on the ice in overtime. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Just be ready, be ready." And then we get a couple good shifts early in overtime, and he keeps throwing us back out there. And then, sure enough, we end up scoring the winner, and Danny makes a great play to me, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Fuck yeah, I watched that. All three guys go below the dots. You're just like, oh my God, I'm fucking wide open. I'm wide fucking open. Steve Eiserman's up in the box, just like going like this, and you just fucking rip it.
I,
Oh my, and you get the room to celebrate, dude.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I can vividly remember that right now when I think about it too. I'm there. I'm absolutely cocked, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, if he gets me this puck, it's over. Gives it to me, half the net's open, bang, and then there's my boy PK getting into it. It's one of like an iconic picture in my career that I have saved because it's super cool. Like, he's in the air and I'm catching him. It's super cool moment.
Dude, my whole body's lighting up. Like, cause just being there in regular season games for me was just like, the energy in the building. I was standing at the fucking red line, and Radulov kept putting his skate over, and I would just hack his foot. And I had the whole team right here chirping me, and I was just holding court.
Yeah.
Chris Stewart's like, don't let him talk over that fucking red line, Gabe, you fucking animal. Like, just that was enough for me to like love being there. But you being a part of that, man, fuck's sakes. And you have like a fucking YouTube video to levels by Avicii of your highlights playing for the team and pumping fucking Campbell with a quick one. And like, what is more sick than that, dude?
It was wild, man. It was Montreal was like Montreal. If you think of when you're a little kid and you think of dreaming of what it's like to play in the NHL, that was it for me. That was it. There's so many good moments there. It was amazing. Like, we had so
Like,
much
talk
success.
about the ice. The ice is colder. The fucking everything's better. Everything.
Everything's better. It really is. It really is. Like, if you haven't been there, and obviously you have, like, you think of a Tuesday in November and you're playing St. Louis, where
Yes.
it's kind of one of those sleeper games, but it feels like a playoff game every night. Like, the crowd is loud. They get excited about little things. Like, it just doesn't happen anywhere else. And then
Doesn't.
you think about the Saturday nights. I used to live on the South Shore, so you're driving in. It's got the Batman light going on downtown. You're thinking of
Oh,
you're thinking of like as a kid watching Saturday night hockey, Montreal Canadiens, and you're walking in. You got your best suit on. You got the long drag. They got the cameras following you in. Like, I remember being in the minors. Like, this is kind of ridiculous, but like Devin Didiomidi and me sometimes, first year in the minors, like, we do like the fake camera setup for guys. So like, we'd be in the room and I'd have my stick as like the mic, and he'd be like fake cameraing guys, like waiting for the actual moment that you do this stuff. So, you get in Montreal and everything just feels magnified. It's like, that's hockey.
oh. even just like the visiting room, there's a basketball net you like play before the game. Like I was just like, what? Where am I? And growing up as a Toronto boy, bleeding blue, hated the Canadians. I'm like, there's just not. It doesn't even touch Toronto. It's
No.
so beyond. It's so beyond the energy in Toronto. I couldn't believe it. It shocked me, but then I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Montreal is no doubt the best place to play. So man, for a guy who was a fan of the game, you just entrench yourself in this team. You become a huge part of it, man. 29 points the next year, 26 the year after that. Like, fuck, you have all these emotional moments that you become like this, like emotional fire stick for everything. The Lucic thing, what, like, I have my own experience with Lucic. I have my own experience with him, and he was like my idol growing up. I got to fight him, got to talk to him in the box. He's obviously a lunatic. He's like, fuck, kid. Like, I used to just come in at first periods and be grumpy at my like old man or my old lady and just fight for no reason just to get some energy out. But nobody wants to do this anymore. And we had this nice chat, but he's so intense, he's so emotional like you, but it
Yeah.
boils over. So what led in that game, do you think, specifically to him zeroing in on you?
I think it was kind of a buildup, and I think at that time, to kind of put it in perspective, is there I think they were called the Merlot line. It was Sean Thornton, Dan Paillet, and Greg Campbell, and
Yeah.
they were considered the best fourth line in hockey at that point,
Yeah.
and in all due they were,
Yeah.
and they were trying to match that line with us, but they couldn't. Me, Danny Briere, and then we had Prusty switch up. I think after game
Mm,
one, so Prusty
mm,
came on our line, and they couldn't play with us, and the line matching was getting frustrating for them. So Thornton starts to get fired up, and that whole line's getting fired up because if you can't play our fourth line, you ain't playing anybody else. And Claude Julien's not putting them out there, and they're getting fired up. And before every game, Sean Thornton's coming to the red line and he's losing it, and I could see he's just unwinding, and I'm just not feeding in and giving what he wants, right? So I'm just kind of like laughing at him, and I'm like, dude, like they can't even put you out there. Like there's got to be someone better up in the stands. There's got to be. Like you can't be it. And so he's like, him, he's just steaming mad, and Pye and Campbell, like great players, and just can't play him. And then we start playing Lucic, and we're getting under his skin a little bit, and I'm hitting everything. Like you can't. I'm finishing everything. I'm going after Chara. There's like, you'll see some of the YouTube clips where like I'm bouncing off him, but I'm running him every chance I get. Like it's just annoying, and I'm drawing penalties, and then I'm scoring big goals, and it's just built up and built up and built up. And then we get in game 7, and I score 4 minutes in, and I'm staring down the bench as I go by them, and like Thornton and Lucic are, I think Lucic had maybe one goal in the series, and it was an empty netter in game 2.
mm.
So he's frustrated. He's feeling the pressure. Like they're not producing, and it just boiled over. And then obviously lost his mind at the end of the game there.
I know you see a Ginla behind him, just like, okay, like Jesus, Luch, like my goodness. But hey, that's the shit as you would go watch when you were a kid and you fucking
Yeah,
love like, and I
yeah,
know you're the type of guy that's like, okay, that's pretty funny and that's awesome too, because
that
it's
was
just what,
hilarious.
what do we want? I
Yeah,
don't want a fucking guy being like it's awesome.
yeah. I had no problem. I thought it was hilarious. And they were like, grilling me after in the media, and I was like, I'm not going to tell you what he said. Like, it is what it is. And then I think the media spun that, and then they went over to his room and were like, he was saying this, and then that's when his post game interview kind of went viral. And
Yeah,
then you can see my interview, and I didn't really say anything about it. And then which only like grew my like legend in that playoffs, because then the next day it was like Scott Oak. It was the I don't know what the feature is that they call it, but before game 1 of like the New York Rangers, it was like a feature on me. So it was good for my brand.
fuck yeah, dude, fuck yeah. So that's a nice little high there, but man, it's I just this is where it gets tough, man. This is where the side of the game that the fan didn't grow up seeing has to confront. And the guy who made it, who found that place to play again, where you never had to worry about your next shift. You're playing with fucking Danny Briere. You're just playing against Montreal and Boston. You're just part of it. And then they trade you. Like, what the fuck, man? That must have been rough.
We after my first year there, so after the first playoff run, I signed a 2-year deal, and I was super pumped. I probably should have got more, but I was super pumped to get a 2-year deal. I loved where I was. I was like, I'll go earn more. I'm not concerned. Then the first year, I think I had 10 goals and 20 assists, 30 points on penalty killing, playing great, and I only have 1 year left. So that summer, we're like, hey, let's sign an extension. Like, I literally just tripled my point total. I'm a
Yeah.
huge part of this team. I scored like I had a huge playoff run again. Like I've proven like when the times get tough, that's when I play my best. And they just wouldn't do it. They had no interest in paying me. I think so. Brandon Prust's deal at that time was 4 years, 10 million. And Prusty was my line mate, but I was outscored. Like we did different things, right? Like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
completely different players. But I was
Yeah.
I outscored him obviously. I had more points than him, I had more goals. So I'm like, I just want what he has. I'm not asking for more. I think it's a great deal. I'd be more than happy to take that.
Yeah, and you're not some soft player. You're not some like guy that's like just a PKer that's soft. Like you're a perfect running mate for him.
Right. And I was doing everything for our team. I was a huge part of our team. So to me, I was like, that's a perfect contract. Like
Yeah.
that's was the ask. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. So then I go my second year, and I think I was leading the NHL in goals by the end of October. Like I had 9 goals in the first like
Half a
four.
point a game.
Like I think I had 9 in the first 14 games.
Fuck.
And then now we're like, okay, well, pay me. Here we go. Like,
Now it's 12 million over 4 years. Let's go.
well, no, honestly, I was like, I'm going to score 20 this year, so you're going to owe me 3-4 million a year. Like, sign me now before it gets worse. And they're like, no, 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 wouldn't do it. And we're getting closer to the deadline, and then Carey Price gets hurt, and then our team starts to struggle,
Oh.
and then it's like, at that point, my numbers were still good. I think whatever it was, I had good numbers at that point.
26 and 56 games. That's amazing. You're on pace for like 40 points.
But was that Montreal's? I think I had,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Like, I think maybe we didn't score the last 10 games. Like, I struggled a little bit in the last 10 games, got super, whatever. But I get traded. So obviously I knew it was coming too. Like, they didn't want to sign me. I knew it was coming. Our team's struggling. Obviously, you hear the rumors. And I was, a guy at that point making $1 million. My numbers were great. Teams are like, "Oh, that's an easy cap hit to bring on." So, well, you get on the trade bait list and you're pretty high, and so I knew it was coming. And then you get the call from Bergevin, and he's like, "Yeah, we traded you to Chicago." At that point, I was crushed. I was like, I didn't want to leave, and he gives the like, "Yeah, July 1st, you can." We'd love to have you come back. And at that point, it's like the bridge is broken. Like that's like just the biggest dagger. Um, and because I was playing in Canada, I didn't have a U.S. visa. So the visa process literally took 11 days,
Oh.
where my family flew home from Montreal to Winnipeg. I flew with them. I mean, you're in Winnipeg during the middle of the season. You're not skating. It's like, what am I supposed to do for 11 days? You go to Chicago. I flew to Chicago. Sorry, I flew to Boston. Night before, we played a 1 o'clock game in Boston. Haven't skated in 11 days. Go out. Obviously, don't play great. Mid-season to not skate for 11 days, and then come out and play a game. And then we had a day off after that. Had a practice. Joel Quenneville was like, "Yeah, don't know a lot about you. I've been in the league for like 8 years, 7 years at this point." So obviously, I knew this is probably not going to go very well. I was scratched the next 2 games, literally just traded for me. I scratched the next 2 games. When I got in, no disrespect, we didn't have a great fourth line there. Not playing with great guys.
On a stacked team, and they didn't have a good. That's kind of crazy.
Well, they didn't. Their top 3 lines were pretty damn good. They didn't need it. Their team was pretty good at that point. They're making a run. They traded for Andrew Ladd. Me and Thomas Fleischman were on a line in Montreal the whole year. That was like the combo. They were bringing us there to play together.
Yeah.
But never happened. And then barely played, and it just kind of really, really went down from there.
Fuck, man, that's frustrating.
It's tough. It cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, it costs you. Well, and it's like, and it's about the money, but it's like the fucking. You could have been there for 6, 7, 8 years. You could have just played out like your career there, pretty much. That's the kind of player you seem to have become for them. Like it doesn't add up. The
No.
emotional attachment, all that stuff. But I'm so glad you went to Philly and got at least a little bit of a ticket.
Yeah, it was good. I was super. I was happy with the contract. There was kind of a lot of there was about, I'd say 9 teams that were all very similar money, like very similar. And I'm sitting there, and you're analyzing the team, and you're like, where am I going to play? Well, Philly seems like a great fit for me. That seems like my kind of team. I'm looking at their roster. I'm thinking I slot in real nice on the third line there. Like this will be a nice spot for me. Yeah. And man, it was a nightmare from day one there.
Fuck. It's crazy how a guy comes in from college like that. He's so hyped, but like I watched some of your stuff and just the accountability was just atrocious, eh? Like I just how can that be for some guy who's supposed to come in and hold people accountable and that's like his big thing, but it's like it sounds like to me from the just the outside and what you spoke about, it's like he could really talk to kids in young adults in or college, but he just didn't want to look a pro man in the face and tell them.
No, and I think that was something he had to learn. Like he's a good man.
Yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah.
no ill will towards him. Like I think he's a really good, genuine person. In all honesty,
Hmm.
and I think he's a good man. But I just think it was too much for him too quickly.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
it's a huge adjustment where you go from one of the best university programs where you get the top recruits and everybody is dying to be there. We're coming into a pro where like what are you going to tell the superstar on the team? What are you going to tell those guys? You ain't telling them nothing because you're leaving before they are.
Yep.
So it's such a different power swing where in college, like you hold all the power and then you get to the NHL and the top guys on the team hold all the power. So it was tough. Our team wasn't great. Um, Again, it was kind of like a situation where you went to Chicago. It's like this team just invested in you. You got to feel like they want to put you in a spot to succeed. And it was like, I was like 3 exhibition games in, and Dave Haxtell was like, "You're not being physical enough here. You got to start getting after people." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And you play one more game, and then opening night, boom, suspended. Second game.
Mm.
To me, it wasn't a bad hit. I didn't try to come high on him. I can't remember. It was Corbinian Holzer, I think was his name. D-man in Anaheim. He's coming up the wall. I'm forechecking. I was kind of at a standstill, and I was backing up a little bit, and I saw him put his head down, and I just closed the gap really quickly, and I kind of like accelerated. I caught him in the face, my shoulder, suspended 3 games. Dave Haxtell comes in the next day. I'm eating breakfast, obviously pissed. That 3 game suspension, you're losing pay for 3 games. It's super expensive. Never been suspended in my career at that point, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I guess that one's kind of on me, hey." And I'm just sitting there like, well, are you paying the fine? Like, so it was, again, like just, he was way over his head. A lot of issues going on with that team and just never, I was playing on the fourth line. I was probably scratched like, I don't even know how many games I played the first year. I was scratched a ton, scratched the second year. Like there was like periods where I didn't play for like a month where it was like, my mind was elsewhere too. It's like, well, I guess I'm going to start thinking about what else I'm going to do because I ain't playing for long because this isn't what that's when it became a job and you really like mentally
Yeah.
it was gone. You lose the fire and it's tough to get it back.
Yeah, you signed free agency and a great deal and you scratch 20 games. Like what? Like it just doesn't add up. It
Yeah.
doesn't add up at all. So you're there for so it kind of just that's where you've spoken about. You started to think about life away from the game and what you're gonna do. And you always had some interest in buildings and real estate and businesses. And where do you think that came from? Because that's something that a lot of guys, even in your position, you're financially stable enough, compared to most people. You got the wife, you got the kids. You're like a lot of people kind of, especially a super fan of the game, kind of suck their thumb a little bit. But what for you was like, hey, I gotta shift mentality here.
I think for me mentally, I needed something to drive towards because I don't know. I couldn't get past the block of like almost hockey wise. I was almost checked out because it was like no matter what you do, this is what's happening, and it's like this man. I'm miserable. Like I don't want to do this anymore. For the first time in my life, I don't want to do this. Like I'm waking up every day and I don't want to go to the rink. I never had that before.
That is the strangest thing for guys like us. You don't want to get on that assault bike. It's looking like a torture device,
No,
right?
and he used to love it. You're like, I'm bettering. Like this is good. Like, and it was tough. And then when it starts to go that way, in all honesty, you can't get it back. And so that's when I had to shift my mind elsewhere to kind of like, keep my mental health from going crazy. And so you start learning about other stuff and other investments and, kind of find what interests you in real estate and kind of investing and that stuff kind of hit home. So spent majority of my time and my effort, learning, researching and kind of getting better at that.
That's brilliant, man. You just transferred like the underdog emotional mentality into something else, into business. And I spoke about it earlier. It's like, kids, if you don't love it, don't do it. Go do something. For you, that would have been maybe back in the day. You know what? I don't have this for hockey, but I'm going to do this. No, you had it as soon as you felt it go. That visceral feeling that this is what I want to do. You're like, no, I gotta check in, and that speaks volumes. I think for people listening, you need purpose. You need connection. You need to find that kind of new locker room of people,
Yeah.
whether it's in business, people that you can get around and talk and get a mentor. You're in the NHL. You could leverage the shit out of your standing.
Yes, huge, huge, and that's what I think the PAs do. I can't speak on the PA now, but I think they're doing a better job of it. Um, you know what? There's so many, not only wealthy people, but there are so many mentors that are super fans themselves
Yes.
that will think it's super cool to hang around with you as an NHLer. It's
Yes.
you probably think it's cooler to hang out with them than they want to be around you. They don't
Yes.
care, and they're happy to share their knowledge, and guys just don't use that enough. And there's just, I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Like, go talk to the owner of your team. He'll tell you some things, and he'd be more than happy to. Like Jeff Molson was always accessible and around in Montreal, and like these are massive, massive business people that can only open doors for you doing other things. And when you're in the NHL, you're so focused on playing, and you don't really, you'll lose your edge if you start to think about other stuff, which is true. But at some point, you got to start thinking about it, and that's kind of what I tell guys now. But I like what you speak on when you speak on purpose, and it doesn't matter how much money you're making. If you don't have purpose, it doesn't matter. And that was kind of where it was. I was making the most money I've ever made, and it was like it just didn't do it for you.
Dude, that's such an interesting point. I never got to the point to be a full time NHLer. I think I would have honestly sat down with the owner. Like, guys out there listening to this, any NHLers, if you are like have enough standing to pick up the phone, tell your GM, hey, I'd like to talk to the owner and go sit in his op. That is so brilliant. That would be such a good idea to do. But this is what what do guys say when they miss the game? They don't miss the plane, they miss the locker room, and they miss the boys, right? But you are so set up with your family, loving wife, kids. You had some money, you had the purpose. You were set up to kind of be thinking about that next arena before you even left. That's what we're building a course for now, guys and girls, to think about the next arena and all the things you got to go. You got to work on your mental game, which you felt slipping. So you found purpose. You rerouted it. You probably kept training because that keeps your
No,
body. You got to keep the body tempo going well. You have connection with your family, but that purpose, man, you found that, and that just rearranges everything around you. So talk about kind of, did that feel weird? Did it feel like that super fan was like, even though it was good for you, did it feel like I don't like, was there a little anger of like having to leave that, or was it just done? It was gone.
no, it irked me for a long time. It was
Mm,
it was irking me while I was playing.
mm,
It was frustrating because you were such like I loved and I enjoyed every single day so much, to get to the point so much that you were hating it every day, where like
oh,
I couldn't wait. I'd get to, you get to practice. I don't know, not really preparing, like not like, and you couldn't wait to get out of there, like eat, go home, and I get to see my family. That was my light and my joy. But they're like, to have a job that you're not passionate about was like, it was crushing to me. And then you played Philly for a little bit, you go back to Montreal, and then I was going to go to Switzerland. I didn't, so I almost took a year off, and then I went to Sweden, and then I came back, and like I couldn't watch hockey. Like, from the time I didn't watch a lot of hockey. Well, I watched playoffs when I was playing, but last couple of years I watched zero hockey. And when I left the game, I literally couldn't watch hockey for years,
wow.
like 2-3 years. Like, and I don't really have the answer why I couldn't watch, but it pained me to watch. Like, maybe to see guys that I thought I was, I knew I was better than, that were having these easier opportunities and staying with teams for 8-9 years, and
Yeah.
producing nothing, and never
Yeah.
having any adversity. Like, that just, it gutted me. It gutted me. And I've gotten better now. Like, I love watching now. Like, I watch the playoffs. I watch with my son and my wife. We watch games. Like, I'm back now that I'm over it, and I can just enjoy the game as a fan again, which is awesome. I love where the game's at. I love
Right.
to see the talent now. But it paid me for a long time.
Well, I'm so glad you had your family, you had purpose, connection, you're taking care of yourself off the ice, because That's where we lose a lot of guys. We lose a lot of years. I was struggling for 2 years after Chard, just awful. I was in hell. So talk about, and I know you've spoken so openly about it. It's beautiful, man. That you made the NHL. You played, not only made it, you were a contributor in emotional driven playoff games, and that the greatest success, the greatest achievement you've ever had is to be a father and channeling that like mentality into business and your family now. And just talk about what that's been like, man, and how the game doesn't have to define us.
No, no. And I mean, I speak on it all the time. Like being a father, being a husband is literally the greatest thing in my life. And they give me so much joy. And they were always my why. Me and my wife had our son when we were super young, starting in Vancouver. And then Jordana, my daughter, came, and then my twins in Philly. They were always kind of my why in the background, but I always knew there was other things I could do to be successful, so my life would be okay. So I never felt the pressure to be like, oh, I got to make money or I got to do this. Like I never felt that. I just always felt so much joy. Like I love being around my family, and I kind of thought, to me, like when I went to Sweden, I didn't go with my family didn't come. That was a huge, like I was already mentally checked out. I went there, my family wasn't with me, and it was kind of like, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't enjoy what I'm doing. My family's not here. This is not working. We got to call her quits. So, and then you switch into the business side. It's super cool now because I'm driven doing a ton of things. I have purpose. My family is always my driving force. They're always my true north. So now I get to do kind of whatever I want. There's no going away. If I have to go away and do certain things, but it's all on my own time. And, I'm super, super happy and at peace where my life is.
That's amazing, dude. It's amazing. So I'm curious because you seem someone that's like you're high energy and you're not afraid to show your emotions. But is it that did sometimes when you were grinding through it a bit, did you feel like you were masking a bit of that pain? Did you have to channel it into something else? We've had other guys come on and be like, man, like integrating back into the family. Like I had to go hit the boxing bag. Like I had to get energy out. Like I was just gripping things tight. Or were you able to really, just because you were that excited about business and all these things, just divert it all into it, and that allowed you to still be the same guy at home?
I don't think so. Not for the first little bit. So we finished in the bubble in August 2020 in Montreal, and I had a deal to go to Switzerland, and they said you got to be here in 7 days. Well, I had young twins, 4 young kids. I was just away from them for 3 months. I didn't see them. It was the first time I've been away from my family for that long ever. So I said, you know what, Switzerland, I'm going to take the year off. Maybe I'll get a deal in the NHL, the American League, in January when the league started up, whatever. So we get to January, wasn't a lot of deals, wasn't a lot of great NHL offers. It was like, well, I'm going to go to Europe, so maybe I'll just take the whole year off. So I kind of had that time where I was kind of retired for about 11 months. So I got to see what it was like, but I didn't because I knew I was going to play again. So I was like, this is cool. I get to be for Halloween. I get to be home for Christmas for a long time. I get to do all these things that I never had a chance to do. So it was super, super cool. Then I went to Sweden. Then when I finished there, then it's really like, okay, now it's over. And that to me was super tough. Was super tough. Just when you finally know it's over again, I went through a hard time for about 4 years there with the playing, but you're still dealing with the fact like this is it, man. It's over. It's finally over. And I was living at my lake house. I sold my city house because I thought my family was coming to Europe with me before COVID. We were going to go play for 4 or 5 years, much like yourself, travel around, have some different life experiences. So we were living at the lake during COVID, isolated, living in the middle of nowhere. That probably didn't help. Me and my wife are around each other every single second, which was never a thing while you're playing. So now you're learning and you're adjusting to a whole new relationship that you've never had. It was difficult. It was super difficult to get through. I would work out and I was still in great shape and I kind of had that release, but you don't have the boys anymore. You don't have that time away. You don't have that time away from your relationship. And it was just a lot of navigating a lot of different things.
Ooh, so, you're a guy that's driven. When you're excited about something or you have a challenge, you got the underdog mentality, you worked at it, you just put in the work. So what did that work look like? We have our fight plan in the game, but what was that attack plan when you're there, you're like, holy shit, this is kind of getting a little dicey. What did you lean into? What do you attribute where you are now with this?
Yeah, so a little trial and fire. Like, we had a franchise that we were opening, a family center in Brossard, Quebec, in 2020. Our grand opening was March 27, 2020. So
Oh,
trying to open a brand new business in probably the worst time the world has seen. Looking back on it, it wasn't now, but like at the time, was atrocious. So you were trying to lean into that, trying to keep that alive. Went for about a year and a half, cost me a ton of money. Had to cut that out. That obviously didn't help the situation. Um, and I was developing properties at the same time, so leaning into that. But driving an hour and a half to Winnipeg to develop and contract, and driving back, like it was kind of a nice release. So starting to do that, starting to get some separation, starting to get a little time where you could think yourself. Was probably a nice contributor. But then once these buildings get built, they're kind of hands off. They're brand new. There isn't a lot of maintenance. It's not a lot of your time, and that's what led me to like, I need something more. Like I need something to do every day that I can focus and driven on. Like this wasn't it. So that's when I started. I had the franchise fail. I was like, I need to buy established businesses now, and then that's when kind of it started to snowball, and now it's just taken off.
nice, dude. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you felt like it was for you, it's always just the purpose, hammer the purpose, hammer the purpose. It wasn't like, did you have to like lean into some kind of mindfulness? Did you have to change up what your personal routine? You just said, I just need something to wake up and do, and I'm good.
I think the purpose was definitely number one. Because I was so soul focused from the time I was 5 years old to playing in the NHL till I was 32. That was my
Mm,
sole focus. So that purpose of your mind every day, waking up, like, what can I do to strive towards this goal, was number one. That was huge. And then you're navigating a new relationship with your wife, so trying to put some time and intention into that was huge. Um, and then you're there for your kids, and which I always was, but you're there more, and you get to coach and do this. That was really filling my cup. Getting back into the game a little bit, starting to coach, getting on the ice with the kids.
mm.
When I was done, it was like, well, would you ever want to coach? Well, pro? Absolutely not. No thanks. No thanks. And I didn't know I had so much passion about coaching young kids. And then now I'm fully engraved in it. I love it. Like I said, it fills my cup. I get so much joy out of it. So
Oh,
it took some years, like, with my relationship and with my purpose, and finding all these things that kind of put that fire back, and it just
mm.
put some joy in my life.
Fuck yeah, dude. Okay. Man, this has been a time. So I think we got to leave it with the kiddos out there that you're coaching, but other athletes that we're going to have come into our training program. What you tell that athlete who's been gotten hurt and they don't know if they can play anymore, they've been scratched, they've been traded, they've been feeling like they got disposed of from a place they should have got a contract like yourself. Talk to that person. What do you tell them when they no longer feel valued? What should they lean into in the short term?
I love that. That's such a good question. Because man, I was there so many times, and when you're in the moment, I don't think if anybody said something to me that it would have resonated. I would have
Thank
been
you.
I would have been so hard minded. Like, well, what does this guy know? Like,
That's raw and
this
real. That's
this
real, brother.
this guy's been retired for 6 years. What does this guy know? Like, I was better
That's
than
real.
I was better than him. He was never as good as me. Like, that's literally what I would have felt in that
Mm,
moment. And I can tell you um, that literally the skills that you have learned playing hockey, being a part of a team, everything about that will make you uber successful in life. And that inner belief that it takes to play at a high level, that will take you so far. And
oh,
using the inner belief in yourself can literally lead you to whatever it is you want to do. And I can honestly say that, whether I don't know whether you want to be a hockey coach still and coach kids or skills, or buy businesses and do what I do, or run businesses or start a business. Like, all the skills you learned in hockey, you don't realize those are so valuable that people don't get anywhere else. You're so much further ahead. And they're the one thing that I would leave it on to, if I could talk to myself in 2018, was, man, I promise you it gets better. I promise you that this will not define you. This will not be the greatest days of your life. Enjoy and be proud of what you did, because it's a huge accomplishment. 0.001% of people get to do what we did. Embrace that and be proud of that. Like, look at the moments and find the good moments in your career that you were proud at. But I promise you, this will not be the best days of your life. And I promise you, it only gets better. And that would be the message that I would send to myself in 2018.
Dale Weise, everybody. Dude, that is incredible. And I think that's so important to resonate with people that, yeah, right now you're not going to listen to a fucking thing anybody says. Just stick it through that time. And I've leaned into that with my buddy making this course because we just want it to be a place where people just have we basically give them the lines to play within and go figure it out for yourself. I don't fucking know what's best for you.
Right?
How could I possibly know? But it's that stubbornness and that fire. It's like when I retired, I was like, I want to be more successful than I ever was in the game because I don't want to be that guy that I want to just keep the trajectory going up. And I know we all have that fire
Yeah.
and we go, we can't, what am I going to do? What am I going to figure out? What is going to mean something? What's going to get me out of bed? Like you just said, believe in yourself, know that it's going to happen, and it just finds you. Like, look at Marco Scandella. This guy's made a bunch of money. He doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I love cars.
Yeah.
Like he's like, Gabe, I love cars, and I go work in sales, and it's like a joke. It's like shooting fish in a fucking barrel. Nobody gets discipline. Nobody gets showing up every day. Nobody gets that if you don't work as a team. Like he's like, it's like I'm like scheduling meetings. They're like, we already had one. He's like, why don't we have like 3 a day? Like, let's go. Let's move. And that's what we can take. I say my years are probably like 50 years of life experience.
Yeah. Oh man, I can honestly tell you, in the business world, when your competition is, there's like in some of the realms that I operate in now, it's guys that are like, 50 to 70 that have that, like they've earned it and they're hardened. But when it's competition against someone that's like, 30 and under, like I will run over you all day long. Like you do not have that dog in you. You don't even know anything about it. And for athletes, man, like you don't even know how many inner skills that you have. If you think you've only been a hockey player, man, you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong. I can list 100 skills that you've learned in hockey, in the atmospheres that you've been in, dealing with pressure, People that have never played don't understand what pressure really is. Like the inner feeling every single day that's in your gut that you cannot relax or be comfortable. You can't come mail a day in, especially in guys that were in our position.
Oh.
Like that inner pressure every day that's on your mind all day long, and magnified when you're on the ice and at the rink, and every single thing you do, and you feel like they're watching you do this, and how I walk, and if I'm not, like, that pressure will, oh man, like you can do anything when you've been through that fire.
Like you're at a business negotiation with your businesses and somebody's trying to press you and you're like, do you think this is bothering me? I told Sean Thornton he should be in the stands.
Yeah.
Like at the red line.
Yeah. How do you think that feels, man? Like you haven't had your life threatened. Like you don't even know.
Dude.
And to stand there in front of 20,000 people and get punched in the face, the like anxiety and the buildup of a square off before that, and unless you've done that, people will never understand that feeling. They won't.
It's your top fight on Hockey Fights. You and Nathan Horton in Beantown. The scrum, you pull away, and you're both just standing there like this, and every person's on their feet, bro. Dude,
man,
I knew we were going to have a fucking time. I can tell by your content, by the way you show up, the way you talk. Like, brother, this is going to help somebody out there. It's going to help other athletes, other hockey guys, other hockey girls. Girls fucking listen better. We know that.
Yep.
So, dude, thank you so much for the time, and wishing nothing but the best. We'll have to have you back on in the future as the businesses progress. Who knows where your excitement's going to take you, man.
This was awesome, man. I'm happy to do it anytime, and I hope it helps some people. So this was great, man. Thanks again for having me.
Namaste. Dale Weise, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, Ben here from After the Bell and the Fight Plan podcast. I'm really excited to announce that I've been working with Gabriel on something we call the Next Arena. Now, this is built for somebody who's going through transitions in life, whether that be leaving the game, changing careers, or just looking to move forward with a little bit more purpose and a little bit more structure. We'll be announcing more on this soon, but until then, back to the podcast.
Ding, ding. We are One Fight fans, and we are back with our boy Ben Myers on After the Bell for another great episode talking about Dale Weise. Brother, how you doing?
Doing great. Did you get as fired up from the last 7 minutes of that freaking episode as I did, dude? I was lit up. His entire story. Oh, I'm so excited to dive into this with you, brother. Let's get at it.
Amen. I was just just touching into it again and feeling that energy right from the get-go with him, and you could tell off the start when I was like, I feel like with my research into you that you're kind of like me. When I came across that story, it was just like in big blaring lights. I got to start the pod there because you telling a Hall of Fame goalie to get mad at you when his whole thing is about being calm, you just want to fire up the boys. You could just tell he's all about the emotion. And I think that comes from this unwavering belief in himself.
You nailed it. The whole time I'm watching that, from Torts cutting him when he felt like he should have been there to then being with Torts again and still not feeling like he got his due. The one thing I noticed was he never, now I'm sure in his personal life he had thoughts of it, but how do you get to that level and then get knocked down, and never for a second think maybe they're right? Maybe they're the ones that have it figured out. Every time he talks, he's like, I know this is what I bring to the table. That I outscored your highest prospects and you want me to be a fighter. All of the way you could just see that he deposited enough proof inside of himself that when he was told at the highest level that, you're not for us, he knew he was for somebody. And I was like, that needs to be taught to kids playing the game, kids outside the game, all the stuff. That's the lesson I took away from this in spades.
I couldn't agree more. You hit on something I wanted to mention too, that he kept mentioning throughout the episode. And I don't think he did it in a negative way and a putting people down way. He's just like, look, the stats didn't lie, or I'm better than this guy. And it didn't come across to me at all arrogant with that high energy, with that high belief. And I think, like you said, he deposited so much proof. It goes back to just the pond and putting in all the reps because he loved it. He fell in love with the game early, but he hit that adversity going to junior, of realizing, holy shit, I am not the man anymore. But I think because of that upbringing that some of us are blessed to have, I know both of us are lucky to have supportive families, that he was able to just go, wow, like that hurt, but it's just going to make me train that much harder and just have to deposit more proof.
Well, he had his moment in Montreal, right? The dream when you're out on the pond, or when you're in this playing street hockey with the boys or something like that, like game on the line, puck right onto your stick, drive it home. You get the opportunity to celebrate. All of those things being told, you're not good enough, or you're not right for us, or, oh, you'll get them next time. We'll choose you later. It was like this moment of just, they called him the Dutch freaking Gretzky, dude. Like all of those moments come together and you just realize I was right about me this whole freaking time. And the universe rewards that faith in yourself.
Mm. And yeah, and a lot of guys in that off season, in that lockout year, they'd go play in the top leagues or they wouldn't go play at all. But he's just like, screw this. I need to just go play. Told his agent, I don't care where you put me. I know I'm going to go make the most of it. I know I'm going to go have fun. And him and his, girlfriend at the time, hasn't been with a super long time. It's like, you want to just go to the Netherlands? And she's like, yeah. And they just went over there and had a time. Becomes, like you said, the Dutch Gretzky, 48 points in 19 games or whatever it is, a whole bunch of penalty minutes. And he really kind of found himself again over there. He found that ability to play with the puck that he was able to transition back to North America. And that's when his NHL career took off.
Well, think about our lives, right? We're not going now. You have to go fine tune your skills. You have to practice the fundamentals. You have to do the work. And there's no doubt that he did the work. But what if we're all in this place where we have all of the skills, we're getting ready to shine, we're all overcooked, right? But what if we're just not in an environment and where we're built to thrive? That doesn't mean the faith in ourselves, the belief in ourselves goes away. It's, let me take a look around and see, where am I more likely to thrive? Who can I surround myself with? Where's the environment I can go to? And to have that sense of adventure, and then a partner to have a sense of adventure to go with you. There was a sense of freedom, it felt like, when he was talking about that. It was just like, yeah, it was an adventure for me and my partner. And then I got to go have fun again. Like that is where I was like, you know what, there is so many lessons and little nuggets and gems in this. That is what I took away from it, is like, you can thrive, you have all of the tools to thrive, but sometimes you're just in the wrong place to let that be expressed.
Yeah, and that takes a certain level of, again, the belief in yourself, but that discernment, because how many times do we talk about that things that happen in our environment are the perfect lessons for us, the things that trigger us, right? But to stick around to probably work through some of those and then be like, you know what, to have the internal knowing and belief that, that can be true. But like you said, some environments aren't resonating with me anymore. This isn't the vibe. This coach isn't seeing in me what I see in myself. Um, that can be tough. That can be really tough to know the difference.
And how do you know the difference, right? How what's that quote? It's, you can stand there and you can shout affirmations endlessly at yourself in a mirror, but until you deposit enough proof to show yourself that you are the version of yourself that you're saying and claiming that you are, you're never going to believe it. So keep depositing that proof. So when you look around and you go, no, I know I got this. I know I got the juice. I know I have all this, but I'm just not in the place, whether that be a job, career wise, whether that be relationships, whether that be family, whether that be sports, whatever it may be. It's all about auditing your environment, right? It's all about taking a look around and be like, what am I choosing to surround myself with? Like, I'm sitting on a gold mine of what I have to offer this world. Where is the place that I am best set up to succeed in offering that back to the world?
Mm. Hmm. But then we've had all different people deal with things differently on this pod so far. We know my story a bit. That's going to keep coming of how I dealt with things when I felt like I deserved more.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in Montreal. He's putting up wicked numbers, and he keeps going to them like, "Hey, do you want to like? I'm willing to take a discount. Do you want to sign me now? Like, I'm right here. You get me for less." And then somebody else signed for more, and he was kind of like, "Hey, I'll still kind of take less, but I could take you to the cleaners." And they're just like, "No." And that was so shocking to me. Like, I wonder what it was that they didn't want to pay him his market value for a guy that was so emotionally involved. Like, as a former athlete sitting over here, I was getting agitated of like, damn, that would have freaking gutted me. You know what I mean? Like, how hard is it when we feel like we deserve something when we don't get it?
How do we ask ourselves, how is this my teacher right now? What
Mm.
is this teaching me? What is popping up in my life that is making this so hard to digest, to take? Because there's no doubt he earned his keep, right? And I've never been at that level, but understanding you can pass the eye test and be like, he should be making more than that because of all of he's offered, the way he fits. Like he was a favorite on the team, a fan favorite, like all of those things, right? But it goes past the eye test. It goes back to our personal journeys. What is this teaching me? How is this becoming my teacher? And what am I learning from it? So thinking about that, like with your wrist injury and where your just career in general, like how did that become your teacher? Like, and when did you get to that space to even think of that?
Yeah, to even think of it as my teacher, that's a great point. Like, as we call it in our communities in our training program, data collection. I was accumulating so much data for so long, but I wasn't putting it in the spreadsheet. I wasn't recognizing what it was. I wasn't organizing. It wasn't sorting through. I was throwing that in the back closet. I was burying that shit at the bottom of a file folder, not even aware it was there. So for years that went on, and I had that. This is where the internal belief can kind of be a toxic thing in a way if you're too close to what you do. I think Dale always seemed to have a very good relationship with hockey. Mine got really sucked into it. And I think that's why I wasn't able to see the forest through the trees a little bit. I could have talked to you back then and told you all the right things. But what was truly going on inside me with that awareness, it was manipulating the situation like, oh no, I got this. I didn't burn the boats for plan B. I could do many things. Oh, I work so hard, I'll be fine. Inside, I was like, there's only one way for me. And it's through this freaking barrier every time. And I don't care how many times I'm told I suck, I'm not good enough. I'm going to keep forcing a square peg in a round hole. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep pushing. And Weiser doesn't get that contract. Then he goes to Philly and gets the contract. But immediately right there, he feels that he's not in the right place. I would have kept forcing it, but I had to go through that.
Yeah, and as somebody from the city of Philadelphia, or right outside of it, I remember the Hackstall years very well, and can understand that there was things he was fighting from. Great person, wrong time, right?
Yes.
Just not the experience there. And something you said is really important. You became honest with yourself at some point. Like you said, you could tell me or the fans and oppressor like all of the right things, but you were full of shit. right? Like, and you knew it, but you just wouldn't come through. Like, this is what I'm supposed to say. This is how I'm supposed to get there. I'm PR trained. These are the words that come out of my mouth because this is what the people want. But until you get honest with yourself and call bullshit on yourself, you start recognizing the patterns. You start showing up differently, and that doesn't mean you're starting from ground zero, right? That just means you're finally being truthful to yourself. Be like, I can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So, what changed for you when you finally became honest with yourself?
Oh, I'm lighting up, man. It's the pain got too much. It became too exhausting to be something I wasn't. And, a couple quotes here of like the pain of staying the same got worse than the pain of change. And Anthony DeMello said, people can only handle the truth they're willing to face and not run away from. And I had nowhere else to run anymore. And I would love to sit here and say I figured it out earlier and I had the awareness. It's like, no, it had to get bad enough that I was like, I was a caged, cornered tiger. And I went, I have to face myself. And that's when everything changed. And I know that's why we speak so much about this. Data collection is always pushing us to this place where we finally just go, I've had enough. And that's really what it came to me. I had no choice.
When you think about, you're a fighter, that's what you made money for fighting. When you get pressed into a corner or pushed into a corner and you can no longer physically fight, the actual answer was the complete opposite. It was surrender. What is that like as a fighter, right? Because I know you talk about, your favorite thing about as soon as you retired is waking up and knowing that you didn't have to fight. So the sense of surrender was already there, right? The relief was already there. But as someone who's trained to run through a brick wall and grit and grind through everything, what does that look like and feel like to realize you no longer fight? It's to release and surrender.
Understanding, knowledge. I had to dig back through the data that I had stuffed away for years. I had to go back and face every piece of data, every sheet in that filing cabinet. I had to unpack it all. That's why these guys are on the wall. And I had to acquire the understanding that that was the way. I had to snuff out every possible avenue of how do I get out of this fucking hellhole? And it all pointed to the same thing. The last thing I wanted to do was to drop the fucking fight. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the future of the ego's fight plan and the no fight plan. I had to intellectually first, through the fire of pushing me to find out that I have to let go of all this. And I'd rather go fight and climb Mount Everest than do this. But it's right here, right now. And I had to acquire all that data, and it all pointed the same place. And I couldn't deny it any longer. So for me, it was acquiring and analyzing the data, and it was clear where everything pointed. And I think we all know out there watching, that's where it points. We're just on our own journeys of figuring that out.
So then what's it like? As somebody who's walked the path like Weiser and stuff like that, right? Carcillo, all of the amazing people that we've had on this pod. What's it like to finally be able to drop that identity of this is how I have to do it, this is who I have to become, this is what I have to present as? What is that like to step outside of that and have a healthy relationship with that version and experience of yourself?
Like taking off hockey equipment, but each piece of hockey equipment, the elbow pad, the other elbow pad, the shin pad, each piece weighs thousands of pounds. It was shedding a knight suit of armor. They talk about those stars, those stars that collapse in on themselves and they end up being like the size of New York City, but the weight of like a teaspoon of it is like 10,000 globes of Earths. It's like the density. That's how it just felt like shedding that kind of density off my being. And I could breathe for the first time, man. And Brene Brown talks about we got to take off the armor we've built up to protect ourselves against the world. We're protecting ourselves against nothing. And it's so hard to even first see that going, why am I wearing all this protection when I don't even need to. And now I have to do this painful work of taking it off. But fuck me, people. Does it ever feel good? And dude, we've broken down your journey on this pod. Where does this come up for you in your own life? I mean, I want you to answer because I get all excited thinking about where it is, but where does this kind of angle? You've been doing an amazing job, and I feel so held answering these questions and you holding space for me. Where does this show up for you, my man?
It's just the theme of the day, right? It's the vulnerability to surround yourself with the right places and the right people, and then the vulnerability to authentically express yourself and how you feel when you don't feel like that version of yourself that has its armor on. Because that armor that we built up was for environments that weren't best suited for us now. Maybe they're best suited for us then because we were meant to learn those lessons and designed to learn that and go through those things. Even if you're in that right now, and you can't fathom that idea that I'm going through this for a reason. That's a perspective. We get to choose. If I had to go through this for a reason, what would I be learning? So what comes up for me is exactly that: the vulnerability to express ourselves and the courage to surround ourselves with maybe unfamiliar places and things that are better suited for us, and overcome the fear of the unknown and that change.
I mean, thinking back to your story, it's kind of like that time in Florida and coming back to the Philly area. Is that kind of the space for you?
Coming back to Philly, so it would be more, I went out of my comfort zone and went down to Florida to be with my former partner.
Yeah.
And that was a leap of faith, which I have no regrets about. I'm very proud of myself for leaping and having that experience. The coming back to Philly was essentially me surrendering and giving up, that I wasn't built for what I thought I was built for. And circumstances changed, plans changed, COVID happened. So there was a lot of moving parts, but there was a part of me that felt like I lost. And I was running back home. And part of that's true. But that's where my safety net and my people are, my family, that's my support. I was returning back, despite what the narrative was in my head, that I'm weak, that I'm suffering from debilitating anxiety, panic disorder, agoraphobia, major depression, all of the things. Yeah, why wouldn't I want to be surrounded by people who love and support me instead of being what feels like on an island of South Florida, right? Like, so it was all the narrative I was saying to myself and telling myself of all of those bullies in my past, in my childhood. It was just their words saying, you're not good enough, you're scared, you're this, you're that. And I was like, how do I work on that relationship with myself? And giving up or surrendering or whatever it is, it's not always a bad thing. It's recognizing that, hey, this has run its course. It's time to step into my next arena.
Oof. It's beautiful, man. So what did you do when that narrative that seems so compelling, your ear was so latched on, it was whispering those sweet everythings in your ear about how it went? Oh man, I can resonate with that so much. What did you do coming back to Philly? Of course, it's now being around people that you felt more safe, your nervous system's more safe, you can lean on your mom, lean on your family. What was the next step for you after that to face this narrative?
Understanding it's a narrative. It's a story that I've been telling myself, I've been conditioned to tell myself, or others have been telling me about myself that I chose to believe, unknowingly or knowingly chose to believe. And once you recognize it's a narrative, you realize that not only are you an actor in this entire play or story, movie, TV show, you're also the creator of the narrative. You recognize it's a narrative, you can rewrite it. You go back into the writer's room and say, how do I want this to play out? What does it feel like for that to play out differently? And then you go and deposit that proof. And I'm not talking about for like 3 days. I did this for like 5 years. And then finally, at some point, you start to believe it and you go, holy shit, I don't even remember what it was like to feel that way before. I remember the story of what it was like, but I don't feel and identify myself like that anymore. That was a start. It was recognizing it was a narrative, and then you have to act on the new narrative and talk about faith and belief and all the stuff, mainly faith. The things I'm doing will yield different results because I'm no longer doing the same things to get the same results.
So good, dude. So good. It's so good. It's so true. And it's so mind blowing that we can suffer so much, be so attached to a narrative, and then one day just be like, wait, I don't even know what that feels like anymore. I can intellectually go, yeah, I remember coming back from Florida. I can remember what that story was. But because of you've done the work to embody and integrate, you just sit there and it's just like this, huh, how could that have ever possibly been real in this nervous system? Because you've done so much work to regulate it. That vagus nerve has gone from being this out of tone giant nerve that runs down our neck and our body that's just out of whack, sending you into those panic attacks, those 8-hour episodes, to just being like sitting on the couch, being like playing video games with your cousin, like, huh, this is nice.
The nervous system is funny. It's also like the neural pathways, right? Neuroplasticity at its finest. You do enough things enough times, it becomes normal. It becomes fundamental. It becomes reality. You've done it enough that you believe it enough. And when you believe it, it becomes reality. It's perception, it's perspective, it's all of those things. And obviously I've done some fun exploring in the quantum world and finding things that I align with, that I believe, and recognizing this is all like a journey. It's all like, it's meant to be fun. And now there's definitely portions of it that are not fun. And I'm not going to say through grief, anxiety, trauma, and all of the things that it's meant to be fun. Those are the lessons that get you to the next stepping stone. Through this is my teacher, this is whatever that's for. And for me, it was, I'm using this to help others. That's how this all started for me, was, hey, I'm either going to check out of the game or I'm going to turn around and take whatever is happening to me and help people and see what happens. And it took that weight off of things. Like, this is not as serious as it always feels. And some days it feels so fucking serious. But remembering, like, hey, let's just take this weight off. Take that 1,000-pound armor and 1,000-pound pads off and just play the game. Let's just be a little less serious about it and just go out there and have fun, experience joy, despite all of the other stuff, and learn like what authenticity, love, light, and all that stuff can feel. All the woo-woo shit, let's go play in that sandbox for a little bit and see that it's all just a giant game.
Oh, fuck. Man, getting emotional over here because it's just so beautiful, man. I've recorded 2 podcasts in the last 2 days, and each one of those guys, everything changed when they started doing something for somebody else. Your story changed, my story changed. It doesn't matter if it was big, it doesn't matter if it was small, it doesn't matter. The common denominator is always, I can't live with this thing myself, my own needs and wants. I can't handle this anymore. Let me just, whether I choose to or not, whether the guidance comes from inside or outside, the grace comes from it, it guides us to serve, help, just do something for someone else. And the life of the world just starts to open up more. It's so freaking beautiful. It's so simple, yet so obvious, yet so hard to see when we're guised by our conditioning and our freaking stories, man.
Yeah, dude. And you asked Weiser, right? What would you tell somebody who's going through it? What would you tell someone starting out or as they're just transitioning out of that familiar old arena? What would you tell them as they step in or start to fathom the idea of transitioning to a new arena? You, Curtis Gabriel, with everything you've learned, experienced, and bestowed upon not just me, but others, what would you tell maybe somebody seeing this for the first time, a parent seeing this for the first time, to help maybe communicate with their children or whatever it is? Like, what would you tell them?
Man, I mean, it always goes back to the highest excitement, but maybe that is always the answer, because truly, if it is your that's the answer, because if it's truly your highest excitement, that's always in integrity. our highest excitement is never something that is, well, no, that you're real time getting me here. No, highest excitement for me in hockey was, no, it was me doing something for me. And it made me go through that egoic journey of, I'm going to play hockey. I'm going to make this level to prove to everybody I'm good enough, and to my dad and all these things. And that eventually led me to my service. And then once the pain kind of washed away, then it became a highest excitement that was true and wanted to serve others. So as paradoxical as it sounds, I think it just followed that highest excitement. Look at Weiser. He's got this contract with Philly. He goes to Philly. He immediately recognizes it's not happening here. The Hackstall years, he's not being valued. He just dove right into, he's always been interested in business and real estate. And he's like, I want to make a solid living for my family. This hockey thing, I'm going to have some capital, but it's going to run out at some point. I'm going to build a career. Let me just dive right the fuck in. He was going to practice. He's getting home. He's getting on his computer. He's doing what he wants, like working on his highest excitement. So it always comes back to that for me, I think, because even if the highest excitement leads you down a path that seems selfish, that's ultimately what's going to wake you up to then needing to come back around to serve. So it's kind of crazy that if your highest excitement right now is to do the egoic thing, it might be what you have to do. What do you think about that?
I love what you're hearing, or I love what I'm hearing from you, because what I take from it is recognizing that there is a highest excitement to be followed past your identity of a hockey player or whatever that arena is. I think so many people get caught up in, now my highest excitement is done forever. What I worked my entire life and identified my entire life as is gone. Recognizing, what I hear you say is recognizing that there is a highest excitement to be found, discovered, and uncovered in the next chapter. It's just relearning where to find it, how to find it, who to find it with, who brings it out of you, places that bring it out of you. It's just going to look a little bit. And that might still be in sport in a certain, like you hear people like almost all of them, like coaching their kids. Some are like, I never thought I would do this, but they're finding the joy in it again. Like that's the whole thing, is recognizing there is a highest excitement past what we currently identify ourselves and our reality as. It's just when we're feeling like we've lost it, remember to go look for it again. Because I think we look for it in all the old places because we've been trained like dogs to do that. Take the blinders off and let's start looking for our highest excitement in places that maybe we haven't thought of, because maybe the well ran dry on the other one, but that doesn't mean the excitement well ran dry.
And that's a wrap on After the Bell for that episode, because that was fucking channeled. Holy fuck. You just listen. This is what makes Ben dude, you've impacted my life so much. Your active listening, your attunement to the moment, and how much you just want to be showing up for people and show that you're considerate, because I know that's what lights you up, man. I just want to shower you with the flowers. That was so well put. That was so well said from what I said. And thank you for prompting me that question and kind of catching me and let me work through it and then mirroring it back to me. I was sitting at Stirling Castle in Scotland on my recent trip with my mom. And my mom goes into the gift shop. She loves gift shops. And she comes out with a little Rumi poem, a little booklet poem. And I'm like, what'd you get this for? She's like, and she's just on her journey, right? And I sit down, I open it, she's eating her lunch, and I'm sitting there, and I find this one, and it's like, I wanted to bring you a gift, but how could I ever bring gold to a gold mine? Why would I bring water to the ocean? What's the point of taking spices to the Orient? I looked high and low for a gift, but there's nothing that I couldn't give you that you already have, that you don't already have. So let me just be a mirror that you can find yourself in. And brother, thank you. Thank you so much, the way you show up in my life, and everybody here on After the Bell and our training program, which you're wearing the merch for, that you're beautifully, eloquently saying that this is why people need to search for that next arena. So brother, thank you.
Right back to you, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody tuning in. This is After the Bell with Curtis Gabriel and somebody like you. As always, send love.
I just seriously hope you enjoyed listening to that podcast as much as I enjoyed recording it with that guest and then breaking it down with Ben on After the Bell. If you really want to support us, the best way is to like and subscribe. to get connected on socials, the Fight Plan on Instagram and TikTok. And then finally, get in the WhatsApp community where we talk about the real fights in life, but of course the fun hockey fights and fights in sports too. Thank you.